Marvelous. Yeah.
How do you develop patience?
How do you develop patience? Yeah, very good question. How do you develop patience? Have children. You do have children, so you must be an expert in the field. Like that. Because I recently, my daughter, I got remarried in January to Atulia, and she brought Asasia, who's 10 years old, into my life. So suddenly, first time I was a father, in January, it's like that. So. And then your good husband, he gave me some very good advice, which I remember every day when I wake up in the morning. He said that when you have children, you must be armed with patience. That's the first thing I remind myself every morning when I wake up. Or, what's that?
Intentional thinking that you need to be patient, that will help you. That
Yeah.
will help us.
Yeah, how does it work?
Just to be intentional to think about.
Yeah, ask your husband, because he's obviously mastered it. Because he's my guru when it comes to this. Like that. But he told me that, actually. He said that. And then usually, I'm up before my daughter. So then when she wakes up, that's my mantra. Be armed with patience. .com.au. Get ready, because here it comes. Stop doing cartwheels, Sage. In the lounge room, every 5 minutes, every 2 minutes. Please stop doing cartwheels all the time. You don't have to walk through the lounge room every time you do a cartwheel. And so yes, gets up in the morning, walks out, does the cartwheel, and then says, "Good morning," and you go into sort of. But that's when you have a kid. That's what it means. So, how do you develop patience? One thing is that we have to. One way that I do it, and the one way that we're taught, is that we have to understand this world is temporary. Because a lot of the time we take everything far too seriously. We do. We get worked up on very small things. Things which really don't mean that much. And you see the world these days, the way society is in general. Like, I don't have a television because there's not that much on it, to be honest. Really. And, I listen to the radio when I'm driving Melbourne once a week kind of thing, just to find out what's going on out there. But I don't keep up with the news very much, because I just find everyone's getting worked up over very small things. I mean, some of the stuff's big. I mean, it is, but some of it's very insignificant. They're just trying to fill in 30 minutes of news, so they just throw in every little thing, which it doesn't really mean anything anyway. So, one way to be patient is to understand that these things are very small in comparison to what's going on in the whole universe. Another way to develop patience, a further extension of that, is to understand things in perspective of what's actually important in life. Just like some of my friends, over the course of their life, they've come across diseases in their body which are life-threatening. And I remember one friend of mine, when he found out that he actually didn't have, but he thought that he had cancer, but then it turns out that he didn't. Then when he found out that he said, all my big problems suddenly they were that big. Day before they were the biggest problems in his life, but suddenly they all disappeared and they just became that big again. So we have to keep things in perspective. Sometimes we get caught up in this is so important, that is so important, but we need to be a lot more patient with things because we need to keep a perspective on what life is actually about. So what I do personally in my life as part of my sadhana means practice, like a daily routine. So what I do in the mornings when I get up, I listen to lectures. I've been doing this for years and years and years. That's what I do. I get up in the morning, brushing my teeth, I'm listening, first thing in the morning, to great spiritual teachers and listen. So then, from the start of my day, I put everything in perspective because I wake up in the morning, there's things on my mind from the day before. This person said that and this person did that and all these things. But then I wake up in the morning and then when I start putting things in perspective by hearing these spiritual teachings, it all just falls into perspective. I think it's not that big a deal. And even the things I really don't like, and even the people who really give me a hard time and make my life difficult, even that becomes tolerable. We become patient with that because it's not such a big deal, really. It can't really do anything to me because I am situated properly as the servant of Krishna, the servant of God. And nothing can stop that relationship. And that's a key teaching in Chaitanya Charitamrita and these ancient teachings from India. That nothing in this world can interfere with our relationship with Krishna, with God. Nothing can. So even when there's so many problems in this world and so many people are giving you a hard time and there's so many difficulties, but inside you can be completely peaceful if you're rightly situated. That's the point. So I don't know, does that help, Paul?
Very useful.
Or what I usually do, I just ask your husband. If my life's falling apart, I just said, George, what do I do? And he just gives me one line. He says, be armed with patience. I go, okay. That's all.